Hi, I'm Jerry Parisi, and welcome to the Filmmaker Show tonight. Apologize about the titles. We had a technical difficulty, but why hold up a show for titles? Anyway, with us tonight, we have a very special guest. But before we begin our show, let me tell you what goes on. First of all, I want to congratulate Legal Straight Talk and their team. I want to congratulate Dr. Dow and Bridge to Health and the team. I want to congratulate the Long Island View and their team, as well as our team on the Filmmaker Show. We have scored top spots on Channel 20 in prime time. And there's no better feeling to know that our shows have gone right to the top. Our shows are put together here at Madhousetv, and a lot of people write into me saying, so wait a second, I don't understand. One's live and one's on TV. Well, here's what goes on behind the scenes. We shoot our show live here at Madhouse Studios, located in Deer Park, New York. From there, the show comes to me. It's edited and reproduced by me for Channel 20. Those are the shows that have the titles, the chroma key, little things like that, including color correction, that go so far. Well, enough about Channel 20 and Madhousetv, but what I do like to tell you about is the persons on Channel 20. There are so many wonderful shows on Channel 20 that we're proud here at Madhousetv tonight to say hello to my wife, Michelle.
Hi.
Bring her on in as my guest. And Mr. Ed Ullman, who has a show called Veterans News. You've been on for 11 years on Channel 20. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
To Madhousetv.com. How are you?
Fine, very good.
It's an honor to have you here.
Oh, thank you very much.
So 20 years is, no, 11 years.
11 years.
11 years on your show, right, okay. And I don't know where the 20 came from. But 11 years on your show, and you've probably run into all kinds of things. Tell us first about your show.
Oh, one thing, my show started in 2004 while I was director of Nassau County's Veteran Service Agency, and I had a great crew. I had about 10 people working on the cameras and everything else, but that's because I was director of Veteran Services. So I think everybody wanted to butter up the director of Veteran Services, so I had no problem getting volunteers. Now we're down to about 3 people that help out, and one of them is the same person, Al Zabrowski, has been working for me for the same 11 years. It's very good. My wife, as your wife is also a camera woman, and Bob Lane is the 3rd cameraman.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So you have your whole situation going on. Which of the studios do you use yourself? Are you in the Hauppauge version, or are you in the Riverhead?
Right, we're in Hauppauge.
You're in Hauppauge.
Yeah.
That's nice. Have you ever tried the Riverhead Studios?
No, I hope someday to get into it, but I haven't done it yet.
I see.
Yeah.
Now your show, this is very important for all of you watching our show, because you'll hear about his show on our show. What times are your shows? And now that, you know, some shows have changed times, like ours, all 4 of ours did.
Really?
Yes. Where does your show fall?
Well, for the last year we've been on Wednesdays at 5:30, and for the next year we're on Wednesdays at 5:30.
So Wednesdays.
Time hasn't changed.
That's great.
That's pretty amazing.
That's because we had to send in the application by midnight or by the 18th of August.
I remember painfully.
Yes.
We had to miss a vacation for it.
And it said that if there was the date on the envelope was a day early, or if it was a day early, it would be returned to you, and you have to resubmit it. Well, I screwed up. I delivered the envelope right to the post office, but I didn't realize that the date was going to be early. So just like last year, my envelope was returned. It wasn't considered for the right time slot.
Wow.
So it went in late. I put the same date I had down last year, and I got it. So it worked out fine.
Well, you know what?
Great.
Being on the air so long, 11 years, you know what? I think they appreciate that.
Yes.
Tell us about the content of your show. What do? You're dressed up in a flag shirt.
Yes.
You've got your...
Well, I dress like this every time we do the show.
Okay.
This cover is from the United Veterans Organization.
What is your background in the military?
In the military, I'll
Yes.
get to that in just a second.
Yeah.
I have to tell you what the UVO is.
Please.
That's the United Veterans Organization. They are the real producers of the show. They are in Nassau County. Every veterans organization, there's 28 different veterans organizations in Nassau County. They get together once a month, called the UVO, United Veterans Organization. and that's how the show actually got its name from. So, you asked how
Yes, I'm sorry. What is your background in the military? What brought you into doing this?
I became the director of the Veteran Service Agency because I've always been involved with veterans. And I've always been involved because I was a veteran myself. The Marine Corps was my bailiwick. I was a lieutenant in the Marine Corps, and I spent a year in Vietnam. That was 1969, all of 1969.
Wow.
I was platoon commander for 6 months, which was the tough time. And then for the last 6 months, I was the S2, in charge of intelligence for the battalion. That was supposed to be the quiet time, but we actually suffered more activity when I became the S2, the intelligence.
When you say activity, did you see combat?
Yes, we saw combat. When I was a platoon commander in the 6 months, I only saw combat once, and that was a fluke. We were out on a patrol late at night. All of a sudden, somebody shot at us, and we shot back in every direction because we didn't know where he was, and that was it. The fighting never really continued. We just fired and then came back to the hill. By the way, I was on Hill 55, and I thought nobody would ever remember that. And I just met a fellow who was also on Hill 55.
And what's Hill 55?
It was a hill 55 meters tall, southwest of Da Nang, the big city in South Vietnam.
Wow.
But I was saying the second 6 months I spent in Vietnam, I spent it as the battalion S2 in charge of intelligence. And one night we went out as a whole battalion, which is very rare, on a big sweep. And the commander, whose name was John Dowd, who was a fellow from Plainview, and he was not my father, but he was father-like. He split his command up for some reason. He took him and himself and the operations officer in one direction, and he sent me to go with the some other part of the advance, the command group. Anyway, we separated, and then all hell broke loose. There was firing from lots of places, and then over the radio I heard the 6 is kilo. That meant the 6, which is the commanding officer of our battalion, was killed.
Oh,
and
no.
that was quite shocking.
That's
to know that if I was with him, I could have been taken out myself.
Sure.
But as it was, he was the only one that was wounded when killed that night, and that was very upsetting.
I'll say.
Yeah.
And that's the guy that you had mentioned just earlier?
Yeah, that was John Dowd from
'Cause
Plainview.
I went to high school with someone with the last name Dowd.
Well,
I
it could have
wonder if
been
it
the
was
same family.
Could have
Yeah.
been.
How sad is that?
Yeah, it was
Wow.
very sad. I've seen his name twice down in Washington on the wall, the Vietnam Wall.
Right.
I've looked for it, and sure enough, I found it. They have some great volunteers down there that help you find a friend who's on the wall.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So it was very good.
Let's get back to your show. So you use the studios in Hauppauge, New York, and all part of the Channel 20 system.
Right.
Let me explain to the viewers something. On all of the shows that we do the advertising for, and that's why I asked Ed what his station was, he's only in the Woodbury area as opposed to the Brookhaven and Riverhead. What basically happens on Cablevision Channel 20 is that the 3 cable companies that are under the Optimum umbrella come together, and that's why there are several shows with different times, or some shows, like Ed's, that can only be seen in one place. So when we list our shows, for example, we'll use Bridge to Health for a moment, you could see it in Woodbury at this time, Brookhaven at this time, and Riverhead at that time. And it's important to know, for those of you who watch Channel 20 and do see our shows, that it's sort of like when you look at the map of Long Island, it's on a somewhat of a slant. And that's the way they take it from the North Shore to the South Shore for Woodbury, which goes from the Nassau County beginning border to about Smithtown, Comac. From Comac to Riverhead is called the Brookhaven system. That encompasses the Mount Sinai's, the Port Jeffs, the Wisconsins, all of that. That there is known as the Brookhaven system. And finally, the Riverhead system takes on from Riverhead further east. And of course, respectively, it goes down through the South Shore on the slant. So to understand where you actually stand and want to watch us, you kind of have to take a good look at what's playing or know at least what cable company you're paying into. Of course, that's all under the Optimum umbrella, and that's how that all works. And I thought it'd be an apropos thing to say today because we're going to be featuring a lot of other shows from Channel 20, which is some very good shows here over at Madhouse TV, which will translate to our shows, which arrive on Channel 20 in their time slots.
Right. If I can just say,
Please.
The show is also seen on the Lynbrook Public Access and the Malvern Public Access, and also on Verizon.
How did you get Verizon? That was good.
I got Verizon through John Schindler, who was runs he runs the programming for the Lynbrook Town Hall.
Oh, I see.
And he has a friend at Verizon who takes my show over there directly.
Well, you know what's going to happen here. Well, you just opened a can of worms for us.
Oh, Verizon?
Ricky, we got a contact.
Verizon's good.
Verizon's very good, and we are not quite on Verizon. However, no news to anybody else because Madhouse TV is an aggressive station. We'll be moving on to Channel 34 as well. Now, that's New York City. The only difference with New York City's version of ours, Time Warner, is that what's going to happen is we'll only get 4 of the 5 boroughs to start because Queens uses an antiquated tape system as opposed to the system that we deliver with our traffic papers and DVDs. And of course, that all answers to what you see on the New York station. And after that, we have plans for Connecticut, and the sky's the limit.
Sure.
But that's
to infinity and beyond.
I wouldn't go with that.
So,
no, go ahead.
okay. I was going to ask what kind of guests you have on your show.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to ask.
Oh, I have all kinds of guests, from politicians to old politicians. Lester Wolf was on. He's a congressman. He was a congressman.
I remember that name.
He was very good. Plus, we have a lot of leaders of veterans groups. The commander of the VFW, the commander of the American Legion that have been on. They talk about what the priorities are, what the goals of the organizations are. We have, actually, we have occasionally just two old veterans who just talk about their experience in the war. They talked for 15 minutes apiece. That was Chris Doring, who was a veteran, who was a Marine who fought in Okinawa, the last battle of World War II. And he was touching, I tell you. You had to almost to hold yourself back when you were hosting that show. And Gus Katori was on the show. He was a Navy veteran of World War II, and his ship was actually hit by a kamikaze, and he lost quite a few friends in the explosion on the ship.
So sad.
Yeah. Plus, we have lots of people from the VA and people that work for veterans, though not exactly on the VA. There's Beacon House, which is located here in Suffolk County in Bayshore.
Okay.
Beacon House is fantastic. It does so much for veterans. It does the food, drives, clothes. You can go there if you're a veteran and buy any kind of clothes for $1.
Wow.
And at the same time, Beacon House is the lead organization for a number of different organizations, like almost like not CARE, that organization that helps people. I can't think of it. Anyway, there's lots of organizations that work through the Beacon House, and they come on the show many times to talk about what they do. Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. You know, I got to say that our own Tom Mealy, he's also works with vets, because he was in the war. I believe he was in the Vietnam War. If you could just find out from Vicki, I'll be able to say that properly, what it is. But I'll find out in a second what Tom did, because the reason I bring Tom up, he hosts the Long Island View, one of our other shows that are on Channel 20, proudly. And that magazine show is on, and I have a strange feeling that because of you and your vets, you may very well be a good candidate to come on to the Long Island View and talk about what you guys do for vets. Not that we're just talking about your show and other shows, but what you might do for vets. Do you think that might be a possibility?
Sure.
I think it's good. Well, we'll find that out too.
The Long Island Mental Health Association, if I could just add, has a group called Vet to Vet program, and they have a lot of good techniques and things that the vets that need mental health or kind of caring, who think they need mental health, they do a lot for them.
That's great.
Yeah.
Is there funding associated with that?
Yes, they're all funded by the federal government, and they are funded.
That's good. That's good to hear, because you hear so much in the press about vets not having funding
the service.
for things.
That bothers me, because maybe it's true, but it's not true in Nassau County. There are so many organizations, and you can call me if any of you viewers have a problem.
Yeah, that would be that'd be an interesting
How
thing.
could somebody reach you?
Yeah.
Oh, 516 9. I'm going to look at my phone number.
While you're looking, I want to mention that we were just given the high side. Tom Mealy was in Vietnam. Am I correct with that?
426-9495.
Say that one more time, because I was just
That's
talking.
516-426-9495.
And
That makes me happy to hear that there is good services
There's
out there.
very good service in Nassau County.
That's wonderful.
And Suffolk County. I really should say that, because the different organizations that work out of Beacon House and the Nassau County Mental Health Association, they actually have every veteran covered if we can get the veterans that need the help to go get the help. Because that's the hardest thing. There are some veterans that live in the woods outside of Northport, I'm told, that just haven't come in, that are out there still. And if they came into Northport, they would get help. By the way, Northport is a great facility. That's the Veterans Health Center in Northport. It's a major hospital.
Sure. We
live in Northport.
Okay. And we perform
At Northport?
At the Northport VA.
That's right.
Okay.
We perform at Christmas time. We do a
very
version
good.
of the Christmas Carol.
Very
As
good.
a matter of
Yes.
fact,
Yes.
she plays Belle. I play Scrooge. Everybody on Long Island knows me as Long Island Scrooge. I hate to say it.
But he's really not such a mean old man after all.
Humbug to you and everything else. But no, we do that, and we've been on a lot of things. But it's not about us; it's about you.
Right.
But having said that, we have gone in the vets' homes, and that's what we do to brighten up their Sunday afternoon during anywhere from Thanksgiving all the way up to after Christmas. Right.
Have you been to Stony Brook? Stony Brook is the state veterans hospital for long-term care.
No, we didn't know that.
I was there for about 3 months when I had a stroke 5-6 years ago. And I was there, and the service was terrific. They gave me plenty of attention, and I'm fine today.
That would be contact number 2 for Michelle at this point.
But that facility is great. Fred Skanga is the director, and he does a marvelous job with the patients at Stony Brook.
And that would be a nice venue. I think that, joking, kidding aside, we're going to find out about that. If you could do that, it would be great. Michelle actually books a lot of the Scrooge's Dream Group onto different things, and hearing that is wonderful. So tell me more about the show itself. You produce it every week, and
we produce it once a week.
Oh, once a week.
Once a month.
Once a month.
On the last Monday of the month.
Last Monday of the month.
We get the guests in about 10 minutes before we go on the air.
Okay.
Not like I came here and you were well prepared and very professional.
Well, thank you.
But our show, we have been doing the show for 11 years, and I never saw another show even closely like it before.
Wow.
So now I've seen yours, and I'm going to change things in mine.
Well, you know what? it's you have to understand. With us, it's a different story. And for those of you watching, because I've gotten so many emails about this, Madhouse TV is a very progressive place. It's a very progressive studio. We're proud to be with Tom and Vicki and Tommy Moore and Janelle. In fact, there's the reason I always thank them at the end of the broadcast, because they put their heart and soul into this. Not that all the other shows, we've got some amazing shows. Date Night's fun, and we have Shake It Up, and we have the Solori Glory Hour. I mean, 35 or 40 shows are on the air over here that go during the day and the night.
Soul Hour.
What's that?
The Maverick Soul Hour.
The Maverick Soul Hour, right, with Tommy Moore. And of course, we have Frank Prince and the Gagoot Show, comedy. You name it, we produce it here. And
where are all these shows shown?
Right
here.
Right here.
No.
Oh, on Madhouse.
Are they on television?
On Madhouse.
The only
on the internet.
The only 4 shows that go to Channel 20 are the ones I produce.
Right.
And that is Legal Straight Talk, that is The Bridge to Health, that is the Filmmaker Show here, and of course, finally, the Long Island View.
And the other shows are aired on computer?
That's right.
Yes.
They're all aired on the computer and on the phone and anywhere else. And so
they post it up on Facebook and YouTube afterward. So that's the way people would see the show.
that's the way people see all
And
the
they're
shows.
advertising clips on these shows?
On those shows, they can do whatever they want. On our shows, we're limited because of Channel 20. Because of Channel 20's, the way it's done is if, in fact, we had a sponsor, it would simply be on the titles in the back, sponsored by such and such. You know, and that's their rules, and that's what we have to abide by. So that's why I keep a very keen eye on what goes in and out of the shows that I work with.
Right.
But the team is great. They get the rules here, and we do what we do. But back to your show. So,
see, I turned the table here.
yeah, I can
That's
see,
true, I
I
see
can
that.
see that interviewing going on.
That's the way I interview.
It is. I can't wait to be on your show.
Yes.
And which I ask everybody here on Madhouse TV to watch the Veterans News. And when is it again, by the way? Let's make sure.
Wednesday at 5:30.
Wednesday at 5:30 for the Woodbury people. You wouldn't be able to see it on Riverhead, and you won't be able to see it on Brookhaven. But what we might be able to do is a cross-section of a show. I may be able to have your show on my show, a special, and let's give the other parts of Long Island a taste of you. That may be able to work well. And I'm thinking you'd be somebody great on The View as well. So we got a few more minutes left, if I'm not mistaken.
How do you get your guests?
Yeah, how do you get your guests?
That's a good question. I thought you would ask me that. I get them because I know them. I meet somebody who's interesting. I ask him what he does, and then he's on my show. I never have a shortage of guests and interesting guests. It's just because I'm active in the veteran circles, and the guests just walk in. And I've never had a guest, except the one time in 11 years, not show up for a taping. So it was very good.
That's a great run. We've only run into once recently, as a matter of fact, because the guests come from Staten Island. Some of our guests come from all the way upstate. Somebody drives in from Pennsylvania, and it's the way it works. But I would also be remiss on something else if I don't mention something on the air tonight, because we've got about a minute or two left. And so I urge everybody to watch Veterans News, especially if you are a vet. It's very, very important. Now, people have been waiting around the country for something I posted, and I'm going to say hello to the folks from Big Sky, the new TV production that is in pre-production now, an amazing show that's going to take place around the United States. They've got incredible actors coming on board. Booley and Hoss are the people who really put their heart and soul into an amazing show. Now, I also want to tell you that next Tuesday, right from Madhouse TV, Under the Big Sky will premiere. And with that, Violetta Anna Licari, great friend of ours, she worked with Madhouse many, many times, her show premieres. She has a very special guest who I am proud and can't wait to actually meet him in person, Leland Prater, who will be on our show a week later. And for those of you who don't know anything, a day later. A day later.
Yes.
That's right. Well, you know what it is, I'm thinking next week, and God forbid actually one of my 3 brain cells work tonight.
I think they're on strike.
Oh, they might be. It's a union thing. But I do urge you all to tune in to the Filmmaker Show next week. And, of course, I want you to see Under the Big Sky. Those are Madhouse TV shows. And Under the Big Sky, independently, will be going on Channel 20 as well. So having said that, I just want to return to my friend Ed, and I want to thank you, Ed Allman, for being on our show. Sorry about our titles. For some reason, they just didn't come on in the beginning, but I want everybody to know that they will be back
They'll be fixed.
They'll be fixed on Channel 20. And if I don't say this enough, then I wouldn't sleep tonight. So, thank you, Vicki Mealy, Tommy Marr, Janine Zerilli, and Tom Mealy. Without you guys, we don't have Madhouse TV. We'll see you next week if you're watching Channel 20 right now. But if you're watching Madhouse TV, stick around. Willie Scapatone and the bunch from the Music Learning Center. I hope I said that right. I probably didn't, but they'll be on. So stick around the next show.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Hi, I'm Jerry Parisi. Join Tom Mealy and Tommy Marr right here on Cablevision Channel 20 each week for an interesting episode of The Long Island View.
I am Tommy Marr,
otherwise known as the Maverick Soul,
and I am live in the Madhouse
for my show, Maverick Soul Hour.
Come and join us. It's the place to be.
Right here on Madhouse TV, Sunday nights at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And we will put you out to the entire world.
You got that right.
Finally, the time has come. You no longer have to choose between conventional medicine and alternative medicine. Today, unlike years past, your team of doctors from all disciplines are working together side by side for the benefit of you, the patient, to help you regain your health and cross the bridge.
playing with your toys?
I watched Madhouse TV.
Hi, I'm Jerry Parisi, and welcome to the Filmmaker Show tonight. If you were watching us a little earlier, we had Ed Ullman from Channel 20, and I explained how the Channel 20 and the Madhouse synergy works. Well, I also want to explain that while we're the Filmmaker Show, I tend to also bring entrepreneurs on the show. Why? Because it's more about the entrepreneurship that gets you where you are. Some people go into film, some people do other things. We have all kinds of different guests, and tonight is no exception. Before I begin, I just want to thank the people at Madhouse TV for helping. We had a little bit of a problem earlier, but that's been rectified. That's why we're on a little later, so stay with us. It's still a full half hour. First, I want to welcome Michelle Parisi, my wife, and to my left, your stage right, Mr. Willie Scapitone. We all remember Willie from the great things he did this summer with Donnie Most, Ralph Malph. Everybody remembers him. And, so I say this right, is the
Music Academy for Special Learners.
You heard him, the Music Academy for Special Learners. And there's a reason why I brought them on tonight. It's an incredibly good organization that helps people. And because I'm not really versed in more of this world, Michelle, who is, and if you watched the Long Island View this past week, you got a chance to see what my wife is like in action outside of being a producer, director, my wife, Belle, and everything else she does. So she's going to run a little bit more of this.
Co-host.
What was that?
Co-host.
What I forgot, co-host. So with me, my guest tonight, and that is Mr. Roy Prager, correct?
Correct.
And
Maria Lamont.
Maria Lamont. I was almost going to say Marie Lamont, but it's Maria Lamont, and that's what I want to make sure I get her to say. So with that, welcome to the show tonight, folks.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
in a general, overall question, before we get into the nitty-gritty, tell us about the organization.
Maria?
So the Music Academy for Special Learners is a music and art school for children and adults with special needs. Most of the students that come to us are children and adults on the spectrum. We work with them through music. We do instrumental lessons. We do music therapy. Our instrumental lessons is instructional. We take a different approach. It's more of an ABA-based approach. Most of the kids take piano lessons, which is a program that I created after working with kids with special needs during my master's program, where we teach the kids how to play first. We backwards teach in theory through gameplay, but we teach them the structure of playing first, and it really is conducive of how they learn. A lot of visuals, a lot of matching games, flashcards. So once they know the structure of learning through a very visual and auditory approach, then we backwards and teach in the theory. But at that point, they know how to play. So their motivation is up. They're thrilled because they feel it's a sense of accomplishment for them. It's something that they just feel they're good, and they feel good about, but they're also really good at it. I'd say, and Willie could back me up on this, we have so many kids, I'd say about 7 out of 10 that come to the door have perfect pitch. And if they don't, after taking lessons for a very short time, once they're able to identify that the C note is that particular pitch or the B note is that particular pitch, when we test them and have them turn around, they're able to identify the notes without even looking. So they just have a tremendous gift in the creative arts, and that's why we also brought in art. So we have the instructional part with the music, we have piano, guitar, saxophone, percussion, voice, and then we also have art instruction. And then what we've brought in the last year and a half is music therapy, which is more of a, it's a non-instructional approach. So you're working with the kids through music on non-musical goals such as it could be language, fine motor skills, socialization, interaction, expression, all through the use of musical games and activities. So they're licensed music therapists. They're trained in this field to work on the non-musical goals through music. So we have kids that take that program that are not interested in, the parent's goal may be not to actually learn how to play the instrument, but their goals may be the eye contact or language, and they'll take up the music therapy with the music therapist. So we have a variety of programs at our place.
That's so interesting. Do you feel like the kids learn to read music, or
Yes.
they play by ear, or
Both.
the combination?
And that's where we work really well together. Willie and I, we have a combination of teachers at the Music Academy. We have a lot of teachers that will strictly focus on more of the note reading, which is all done through the Visual Music Concepts program, which is the foundation that all of our teachers start with. And from there they build.
Is there an instrument that you start out with, like the recorder, or?
No, most of the kids that come in, unless they have a really particular interest in saxophone or drums, but if they ask, we don't know where to start with. We always start them with the piano because it's more of that instantaneous. You can touch a few notes and you can make a tune from that. It's hard to start that with a guitar. So, and piano's such a great foundation for any other instrument.
It's a lot more visual,
Absolutely.
which is, as you know, is the way that
Absolutely.
kids with autism
Absolutely.
learn the best, is
Absolutely.
visual.
Absolutely.
So that's great.
Yeah, yes.
So, Roy, how do you fit into this area? And we want to get into the reason you're here as well.
A little over a year ago, my wife and I, we lost our child, and we wanted to do something in his name, and we were looking for an organization to do a charity event for, and we sent out letters and emails and made some phone calls, and Maria had sent us a resume about that thick, and it was fantastic, and then we chose her school, my wife and I, and to do a fundraiser for, and she introduced us to Willie, and then they asked us to come to one of their receptions, and they asked us to come to see just 4 performers out of, I think, maybe, what was there that day, 58?
Yeah, close to 60.
Just to see 4 of them, and that were going to perform at the event that we're going to have on the 27th at Shandon Court, and that's a Sunday at 2 o'clock, and they're going to go on at 4 o'clock and perform themselves, and then they're going to perform as a band. And after seeing what Willie does with the children and what Maria does with the children, we had to stay the whole day. It's just fascinating. It's I can't explain the feeling that of accomplishment, of giving, and it's just rewarding to see what the children have what they could do, and how far they've come, and it's just it's my wife and I are very glad we chose this academy to give and do the fundraiser for, and that's where it all started. That's where it ended up, and now we have some good friends, and hopefully this Sunday we'll raise a ton of money for the school, and Maria, and we'll be able to do whatever she wants with it, and give it to the people that can't afford to go to the school. And my son was very he wasn't autistic. He was very talented. He played guitar, and when he sang, the room was silence. He had a great voice. He could hold a note for a long time. Excuse me, Mom, I'm getting a little sore. But when he would sing Hallelujah. By the second verse, the room was silent, and at the end of the song, either the people were clapping or they had tears in their eyes. He had a very, very, very good voice, and he was just coming out, let's say, out of his shell, and then this happened, and so we want to do something in his name. We're more givers than we are receivers, as I would like to say it. And my son was the same way too. He was more of a giver than a receiver, and this is what he would have wanted to have happened. And I think that Sunday's going to be a fantastic day, and he's looking over us.
That's right.
What a wonderful tribute to your son.
Thank you.
It is a wonderful tribute. And Willie, how do you fit in with this? A big-time guy, humble man, and I know you a whole 4 hours now, so no, I'm only kidding. But the reality is you help in the school too. You teach, is that?
I teach at the school. I've been teaching at the school now, I just realized now, for 7 years. And so when Maria told me about the event that's coming up this Sunday, Roy contacted me to see if I could help assemble some people to play and donate their time to the organization. So I reached out to my good friend Randy Jackson from Zebra.
Wow.
And he, like always, you know, came through in a big way, and he's going to play an acoustic set for from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and I'm going to join him on the saxophone. So we're going to.
That's going to be great
rock
because
the house for an hour.
Anybody who's watched you, and we saw Willie with Donnie over in Port Jefferson, you blew everybody away, and I must say that you put on a great show. So this, in my opinion, is probably going to be a good show. So let's talk about this show. Before I do, Michelle, have you any other questions on that level that you might have thought of? On the spectrum?
On the autism? I have
Yes.
a lot of questions, but
So
let's follow with this and then we can get
okay.
back around to that.
Yeah, because
May I just say that before Willie goes on, J.D. Lennon and Karen Cartledge go on. They open up for Air Supply every year.
Oh,
at
wow.
Westbury.
Air Supply.
So we have, and then we have 9 other people that are going to be playing as well. So right after that, after Willie plays, and then the students come on, and the students will be playing themselves one song again, and be playing as a band under Willie's direction, which is unbelievable what they give
What
to
a
these kids.
wonderful thing for them to be able to perform at something.
I asked every one of the other performers if they'd be willing to donate. Everybody's donating everything. Nobody's charging nothing. Everything is free, and every dime that's collected is going to the foundation. But every performer that's on a flyer that's going to be on if you go to www.ryanprager.com.
RyanPrager.com.
Right, and you'll see every performer that's on there is also willing to play with the students after they are finished. So they can go up and play with the pros and see what it's like and get a feel. And I just think it's a wonderful thing.
What an amazing event. So, from what I can see, that's Sunday, September 27th, and it's at,
Starts at 2 o'clock at Shandon Court in East Islip.
Okay, Shannon Court. For those who are not from the Long Island or perhaps the Suffolk County area, tell us about that and where it is, and that may be able to help first.
It's on Carlton Avenue, but it's on Montauk Highway, just between Carlton and Connecticut Avenue. If you come down Carlton and make a left, it's about 4 blocks on the left-hand side of the street.
So that's the South Shore of Long Island, to those of you who don't know the Long Island area so much.
Right. It's a beautiful catering hall, and it's a beautiful restaurant and bar area, and they also have a beautiful lounge outside, an outdoor lounge as well. They do a fantastic business. They have a great menu, and they have music 6 nights a week, except for tonight is trivia night. And they pack the house for trivia night as well.
I would have thought they're watching the Filmmaker Show on my night. What's wrong with these
I've been
people?
trying to get. Well, that's
Not everybody's smart.
Oh, yeah.
Good one. Good one.
That's awesome. And, Willie, give me an idea, before we turn this over to Michelle. What's the venue to you? I mean, we've got, it sounds like an amazing amount of bands and singers happening, and you've got students there who are going to play afterwards. But give me a night. What can everybody expect when they walk in that door, Willie?
Well, it's like Roy said, it's a nice bar, it's a great restaurant, and it's a live music venue. It's a typical live music venue on Long Island. I think it's going to be more the event. It's not really the place that this is all about.
Oh, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
just nice that this place is holding it for them, because not everybody goes ahead and just gets a place like this to donate their time for a cause like this, which is truly beautiful.
They took when they had their first open mic night, the owner sort of took my son right under his arms, and I call him as like his godfather. And a few of the bands that played there, they would always ask my son to come up and play as well and sing with the bands, because he just had a tremendous voice. He was fabulous. But the people at this restaurant are everybody's family. That's just the way it's supposed to be. And like I say, everybody's a giver, and nobody's much of a receiver. Everybody wants to help out, and that's what's making it all mesh. And I think it starts at 2 o'clock, and at one point we put out that it was going to end at 7, and then I had to turn down 2 or 3 other bands that wanted to get involved, and it's just there's not enough time in the day. But what's going to happen is that I spoke to one performer last night. He says, don't be surprised if 3 people from his band show up to play anyway. They don't care, you know. And that's just the way this, you know, we're in a good mix of people, you know.
So to sum this up, what's happening is this is a benefit in your son's name.
In my son's name, correct.
With scholarships going to people in your school so that they can have the wherewithal to move forward with their life,
Right.
the autistic life, and you're using the music to gain an understanding, or perhaps their motor skills, or perhaps eye contact, or something like that. And that's how this all comes to help one way or another. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you did.
That's wonderful. Now, understanding that when people are watching this tonight, that this is this Sunday, Sunday the 27th at 2 p.m. at that restaurant.
Right.
Now, for those of you watching us on Channel 20, obviously it'll be a thing of the past because this won't air for at least another month. So let me ask you in a generalization to frame your organization so while watching this, they at least have an understanding of what you do as an ongoing organization. And to help me do that, Michelle, perhaps you can guide those questions in the autistic world.
Sure.
So please go right
Sure.
ahead.
So the kids come to you because the parents want them to tap into music or creativity like art, and for various reasons, for...
A lot of, yes, and a lot of times it's the call where, and I get this a lot, my son we have a play piano at home, and my son is trying to figure out Mary Had a Little Lamb, and I think he has a little bit of a talent there. He seems to be able to figure it out by ear. That usually sometimes triggers the first call, or just, my child just loves music, connects with music.
Mm-hmm.
I would love for him to learn an instrument, but how would you teach it there? Because I think a lot of these parents think, you know, in the traditional sense, my child's not going to be able to follow, you know, and that's why we teach it very differently. So it's a very adaptable program to how they learn. That's how we teach
Is it sometimes taught in imitation?
As far as, like...
For them to produce a sound, like on the piano, an imitation, like do this kind of...
Yes, well, we use a lot of prompting, we use a lot of role modeling, a lot of your turn, my turn. A lot of times where really works with, a lot of the kids will come in that have that tremendous gift to play by ear, so we'll flip the lessons where Willie will work with him for 1 week, and I'll work with them for 1 week. I'll work more of the note reading, Willie will work on the ear training, because our goal is really to have the whole gift of being able to play by ear, being able to read music. And a lot of our kids that have been with us for a long time and who you will see at the event that are playing have that incredible gift to be able to play by ear and to be able to read music.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned ABA before.
Yes.
And for those viewers who don't know what ABA stands for, it's Applied Behavioral Analysis. And it's the one form of teaching for kids on the spectrum that's empirically validated through data. So you're taking a data-driven philosophy and applying it to teaching music and art, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
What kind of effects have you seen it have on the children? Because it must go beyond learning to play the piano.
It does, and that's the thing. I mean, our goal is for them to learn how to play the instrument, but we have had, over time and time again, parents tell us that they're seeing more language. They're doing better in school, their attention's better, their eye contact's better, because even though it is instructional that we do, it is very therapeutic. So we do bring in a lot of therapeutic approaches. And the thing is too with the music program, and my thing is that they love music. So if we could work on so many other areas that they deficit in through music where it's something they connect with, the results would be great. And so we're giving them kind of two gifts. We're working on non-musical areas, but we're also giving them the gift of music and something that they'll have for the rest of their lives, something they can carry with them. You know, it's just such music does wonders. It's so therapeutic even for me just to play just for the sake of playing. It's relaxing, and it's therapeutic.
Let me just intervene and say it's just as well for their parents. That when I came for the recital, that the parents are just as excited as the children are.
Oh, sure.
It's amazing
Sure.
how happy and how proud they are, and it just brings another breath of fresh air into their lives, and it snowballs.
Right.
Absolutely.
And it's a beautiful thing. It really is.
Yes.
The one thing I know the parents, and we've had it brought up many times, the parents have said, we focus so much on things that they can't do. It's just so wonderful to focus on something they can do and something they're good at. And to see their kids, and as you saw, up on stage,
Yes.
and the smiles on their faces. And, we work with a lot of nonverbal kids, and even though they can't express it, you see and you feel that sense of accomplishment when they're done playing and the audience is clapping. It just, as heartwarming and what it does for the parents, it does for me. It's just a wonderful, I don't even call it a job. It's a wonderful place to be at.
I can imagine that a child who's nonverbal and doesn't have a form of communication, that if they're playing the piano, even in imitation with you, it's another way for them
It's expression
to connect.
through music. Mhm.
And it's an interact. It's an
Absolutely.
interaction.
Absolutely.
So whereas
Absolutely.
if they didn't have that medium, people
Yes.
could say he doesn't have interaction.
Right.
Where you're tapping into an
Yes.
interaction.
And the
So
music
it's
therapists tap into
fascinating.
more of that area of it through the music therapy.
Right.
And
right.
it's funny too, is when they come for lessons, a lot of times the parents will want to come in and see, sit in the room, and some of the kids they don't want them in there. It's their time and their half hour to just really focus on. It's such a connection that they have with the music. So it's just a
fascinating.
wonderful place.
I know that in my work that I've taught nonverbal kids to talk through music.
Yes, and that's what
So, yes.
that's what the music therapists work a lot on through the
Mhm.
language, through music.
Mhm.
Because, and you have seen, they may not be able to speak, but they can sing a song.
Right.
And we see that a lot.
I know, I'm thinking back in my brain to the years that I've been doing this, and I once worked with a child who was bar mitzvahed through doing his bar mitzvah to Sesame Street music.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Fascinating.
It is fascinating. It really is.
I just want to frame this out for everybody, because this here, what we're talking about, is the Music Academy for Special Learners. It's located at 320 Smithtown Boulevard in Ronkonkoma, New York, and the website is www.music4speciallearners.com. It can be reached at 631-615-6707. And this benefit you're hearing about is for Ryan Philip Prager. This is his father, Roy Prager, Marie Lamond, and of course we got Willie Scapatone here along with Michelle. And there's just a few more minutes to go. So before we do a final sign-off, let me do a few things. I want to just congratulate our shows, and that would be Bridge to Health. It is Legal Straight Talk. It is the Long Island View and our own very much Filmmaker Show. Because we have all hit prime time here on Channel 20 and of course Madhouse TV. You can see all our shows in their entirety throughout all of Long Island and coming soon to Channel 34 New York City. So I want to say that. I also want to thank our guests, especially Willie Scapatone, who put this all together. As you all know, Willie was very instrumental in putting the Donnie Most Special down here in Long Island, New York. We're very proud of that. But in there, let me say one or two more things. Some people scheduled to appear is Gary Finlay, the Caravan, Ward Clogan, Buddy Merriam, Mike Gregory, No Strings Attached, Tim O'Connor, Rich Mahogany, Gil McLean, Tim Huss, Lauren Bricker, J.D. Leonard, and Karen Cateridge, who also appeared at the music fair in Westbury. From Zebra, we have Randy Jackson and, of course, Chili Willie here. Some of the students who are going to appear is Frank Papon, Connor Lacasio, Benjamin Blanket, and Joseph Kavanaugh. Again, a benefit in the memory of Ryan Philip Prager. So with that,
Thank you.
I want to just point out, I don't think I've missed anything on the show,
Just one thing,
but please go ahead.
where it is.
Aha! That's a great thing. Again, you've heard it before, but let me say it one more time, and that's Shandon Court. SHANDON Court, located at 115 East Main Strip in East Islip, shannoncourt.com. Let me repeat that one more time. 115 East Main Street, East Islip, shannoncourt.com. Okay, with that, I would be very remiss if I didn't thank the folks over at Channel 20 for the amazing amount of help that they got in the new programming for our 4 shows. And from the bottom of my heart to the top of the airwaves around the United States and all the countries watching us, I want to thank Vicki Mealy, Tom Mealy, Tommy Marr, and Janine Zerilli without the show. And finally, next week, Violet Licari. I know her as Violet, you know her as Violetta. She premieres with Under the Big Sky on Tuesday night. Leland Preda will be one of her guests. I will be there to help kick it off. And we thank Haas and we thank Booley for putting a show together that big that's now in pre-production around the United States. With that, I thank you very much. This has been the Filmmaker Show. We'll see you all next week. Take care.
Good night.